this year, the Indian demo truck was at Mom's in Foxboro, Massachusetts, and I had a chance to ride the 2015 Indian Roadmaster. Roadmaster is Indian's full-blown touring bike, outfitted with a rear trunk and forward wind deflectors, as well as all the other bells and whistles that come with the loaded touring category. The Roadmaster is based upon the Indian Chieftain that was released in 2014. Indian actually tells us that the Roadmaster was designed first, and then the trunk and other accessories were taken off of it to introduce the Chieftain last year in 2014. They say that it was easier to design the entire bike with all of the touring amenities first, and then remove things to release the Chieftain in 2014. If you're the kind of rider that wants that heritage feel, that wants that retro cool kind of look, well, you're going to feel right at home on the new Indian Roadmaster. Along with the touring trunk and the forward wind deflectors, the Roadmaster comes with all the bells and whistles that you would expect on an upper-end touring bike. Comes with ABS standard, a 200 watt stereo with Bluetooth integration, keyless ignition, electronic locking bags, tire pressure monitors, heated grips, and heated seats. Just everything that you would want for a long distance, comfortable bike. And of course, the Roadmaster comes standard with the best feature of all, at least I think, and that is the 111 Thunderstroke engine and that great new transmission that Indian has put together. So one of the things that you really notice on the new Roadmaster is that big desert tan saddle. And yes, that's the only color that it comes in right now. Anyway, this saddle is real leather. And like any real leather product, it's going to be a little bit hard at first. It's going to take some breaking in, some getting used to, just like an old baseball glove. You're going to need to protect this saddle. You're going to need to use leather balms and so forth on it. You're not going to want to leave it sitting out in the sun for any length of time, so you're going to need to keep it covered. Again, that's what happens when you have a real leather product. As far as storage capacity goes, the Roadmaster comes with a little over 37 gallons of storage, 37.6 to be exact. That's about 17 in the saddlebags, 17 in the top case, and then the remainder is taken up to some compartments that are in the upper and lower fairings in the front. Now, unless you have a wife that wants to carry a hairdryer with her, just kidding, honey, just kidding. But that should be more than enough space for you to take everything that you need out on the road. Now, one of the important features on a touring bike is wind management or protection from the elements. Now, on this bike, we have electronically adjustable windscreen, which I think is one of my favorite features. I'm really glad they put this on the Chieftain and of course brought it over to the Roadmaster. I've got this on my Vision, and if I had to give you one thing about the Vision that I would not want to do without, it would probably be that electronically adjustable windscreen. With just a touch of the button, you can raise and lower it and change it to suit whatever riding conditions that you might run up against. In the lower fairing on the new Roadmaster, you're going to find two vents that can be adjusted. A top vent and a lower vent that you can easily adjust with the touch of a hand or probably the touch of your boot as well. So now they have this great feature with this windshield that rises and lowers easy with the touch of a button. Problem is that the placement of the button is way over here, and you literally have to take your hand off of the handlebar to go over here and move the controls. So now in contrast, you can see where the placement of the button to raise and lower the windshield is on the Victory Vision. Right, much easier to get to right here. Don't have to move your hand off of the controls versus way down here when you were on the Chieftain. Right, so the last thing that I would like to see changed on this bike, and it's not just me, I've heard this from actually a lot of other Indian owners that I know, and when they take a look at where they decided to put the rear speakers on the bike is right behind where the passenger would be sitting. So these speakers essentially are going to be behind the passenger. Who's going to be able to hear them? The passenger's not going to be able to hear them. The driver's not going to be able to hear them. So what's the point? Why did they stick these speakers where they did? Just doesn't make a whole lot. Okay, so the cost of this new bike, of the new Roadmaster, well, they come in at $26,999 That's for all of the bells and whistles. There are of course accessories that you can add on, but the base model with everything we've talked about is $26,999. Now, in looking at the competition for this bike, I'm going to limit my choices to the Touring Cruiser line. We could get into Gold Wings and BMWs and stuff if we wanted to look across the touring bike segment, but we're going to limit it to Touring Cruisers. So the first bike, of course, is the Harley Davidson Ultra Limited. And this bike also retails for $26,999 with about the same kind of features and so forth that you can find on the Roadmaster. The second bike that you would want to take a look at is, of course, the Victory Cross Country Tour. That comes in at $21,999, but that is without all of the features and the bells and whistles that you're going to find on the Roadmaster. You would have to do some upgrading to get up to the level of the Roadmaster as far as the amenity goes. The other bike that you would want to look at, of course, is the Victory Vision Tour bike, which comes in at $20,999. Again, that's a base model. You would need to accessorize it to get it up to the level of the Roadmaster. And the last one we want to take a look at is the Kawasaki Voyager. And that starts at $17,399. And again, you're going to have to upgrade it if you want to get the same kind of features as you do on the Roadmaster. Okay, so let's get on the bike and take it around the block and see how she rides. So my first impression of the bike and getting on it was that this bike handles very well at parking lot speeds or slow speeds. I got to ride the bike twice, once just by myself and once with my wife on the back, because I wanted to see how she felt back there on the saddle, and also I wanted to feel what it was like to have a passenger. And in both instances, the bike handled extremely well. I was really able to move through the parking lot very easily, dip the bike down at slow speeds, and really had no problem whatsoever. I really liked it a lot. So as with all of the other Indians that I've ridden, the star of this bike is really that Thunderstroke 111 engine. It just performs fantastically. The transmission also performs very well. Much better than the Victory transmission, so I'm really looking forward to if they ever take this technology forward to the Victories and riding some of those new when they get the new transmission in them. But anyway, the Thunderstroke just performs great. You can't lug this thing down. It just has so much torque. It is a beast. It will go wherever you want it to, and it is just smooth as silk. No shaking, no vibration. It is just really, really nice. The brakes on the Roadmaster also performed very well. With my wife on the back, we had no problem stopping in any instance. Luckily we didn't get into any situations where we really had to put on the brakes, but it seemed like the brakes were actually more than adequate for handling this size of a bike. Suspension also performed extremely well, soaking up all of the bumps and potholes and so forth that we encountered on our way through the Massachusetts roads up here. The one thing, if I was going to say anything, is that the suspension was probably a little soft for me, but that's easily can be handled by just pumping up that air shock and be all set. At highway speeds, the bike also performed very well. I think it would probably take a little bit of time for me to dial in the wind protection a little bit. I think that my Vision probably has a little bit better wind protection right out of the box, but if I got to play with it a little bit, I probably could get the Roadmaster to do the same. My beard was flying around a little bit, and that's when I can tell that I'm getting a little buffeting going on. But overall, it was really, really nice on the highway. You can very easily do a 70-mile-an-hour pass in either 5th or 6th gear. Of course, if you drop it down a gear, you're going to go a little bit faster, but there was no lugging down at all, and so you can be going 70 and want to pass, just crank on it and go right around whatever you need to. If I had one thing to be picky about as far as the ride quality on the new Roadmaster, and I guess that would be how it tracks around big sweeping curves. I'm used to the bike on my Vision that I can just basically look where I want to go, press, and the bike just goes right there effortlessly. With the new Roadmaster, it took a little bit more of repositioning the bikes. You would go, push, and then you would have to do some minor corrections along the way in order to get the bike to stay on track. And not big ones, but just minor ones. You got to pay attention to a little bit more. Now, I must admit that, again, I'm only on the bike for about 20 minutes or so here. So me spending more time in the saddle, getting used to the bike may correct that. This is just my initial impressions of, again, how the bike handles on sweepers. As far as comfort goes on the bike, the saddle was very comfortable, especially that second bike that I rode with the worn-in saddle. Said it was really nice. I was really surprised because I didn't really like the Chieftain saddle all that much. The Roadmaster saddle, I think, is a very big improvement over that. As with most of these bikes that I ride, all of the Indians, it does feel a little bit small to me as far as the foot position and the hand position and so forth. And that comes with a lot of just what I'm used to. The Victory bikes are built with all of the controls, the dashboard and everything way out in front of you, so it gives this big open feeling to it. You also have these huge floorboards that you can really move your foot around very easily. On the Indians, the floorboards are a little bit shorter. Everything seems back a little bit closer to you. Again, I think that's just basically what you're used to. This seems to be a common complaint among Victory riders that are moving over to ride the Indian. They find it a little bit cramped. However, Harley Davidson riders who are coming off of their bikes and riding the Indians feel right at home, because the setup on the bikes, as far as the Indians and the Harley Davidson goes, are very, very similar. Okay, now for the really important part. How did my wife feel on the back of the bike? Well, when she first got on it, I think she felt a little bit uneasy. I think it just wasn't what she was used to. On our Vision, the seat kind of wraps around her and holds her in real nice and secure. On the Roadmaster, the seat's a little bit wider open, so she didn't feel like it was kind of hugging her quite as much. But after she'd ridden the bike for a while, she started to feel more easy on the bike. And at the end of it, she actually said that the Roadmaster saddle was a little bit more comfortable than our Vision. She said she was able to kind of sink down in it a little bit more, and I think it had a little bit more padding, and she felt very comfortable on the bike. So overall, I think that this new Roadmaster is a great option for anybody who is looking for a touring cruiser. Obviously, you should go out and ride everything you can and find the one that's right for you. But in my opinion, this would be something that should be at the top of everybody's list if you're looking for a touring cruiser. Alright folks, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. And you can follow us on Facebook. And you can visit the website at www.livingofftheslab.com.